Okay, so first I'm going to take you through the way I've structured the sprint board for the MedRev project, which is a project we're managing internally here at JHMG. Um, so the way I've set it up is that each column here represents a status of the different tickets that are in that column. And when you can drag and drop them from column to column, as you see here, and that updates the ticket status as well as putting it in the correct column. So the first column, I have items that need guidance. So somebody put these items in the to-do list, but the developer would need a little bit more information before they could actually start work. So I put them here and I assign them to the individual that I think would have the information um, to provide. And then once I see, and we have our JIRA system integrated with Slack so that when somebody makes a comment or changes the status on a ticket, we get notified through a Slack channel. So when I see that somebody's left a comment on the ticket providing the necessary information, I say, great, okay, then that ticket can go in the to-do column. And the to-do column means it's ready for work. It should be worked on now during this sprint. And the neat thing about JIRA here is that you can set different priority levels and they show up when you hover here. Um, and you can use that to convey to the developer how urgently something needs work. You can also take these tickets and move them up and down in the list so that if you say have a situation like we have here where there's a bunch of tickets of normal level priority, if you have a preference on which ones the developer should tackle first, you can move them up and down in the list. So then we have the in progress column, and the developer is the one who's responsible for moving a ticket from to do to in progress. And that means they're actively either doing research on how to fix the problem or they're actually going ahead and implementing the ticket in the code. So once they come to a point where they feel like the code's ready, they've tested it on their own development environment and it's working well, they can move the ticket to the under review column. And what they also need to do at the same time is in Bitbucket, they need to create a pull request. And a pull request is something that says, hey, take the code that is on my individual branch for this ticket. So in this case, they would have a ticket named Med 131. And this is a request to merge that ticket into the testing branch. And so for us, the testing branch is what's deployed on our test environment. And the test environment is where our testers go to test out new features, test out bug fixes, and make sure they're looking good. So if the under review, once something's moved to under review, it signals the senior developer or whoever was listed as the reviewer in that pull request to go ahead and review the code. If the code meets our coding standards and there's no bugs that are evident, that the developer or whoever the peer developer is can move the ticket to ready for testing. But first, what they need to do is deploy that ticket to testing. So they would go onto our testing environment. Once they approve the pull request and that the code for that ticket is merged into the testing branch, they would do a pull on the testing environment and then do a new build so that what's been done in that ticket is now on the test environment. And so things being in this column signal our tester that, hey, she can go ahead and test that item. And then finally, assuming that she tests the item and it works out well, she can move it over to the done column. Some people might call this the accepted column. One thing is that over the next week or so, we're going to start using Jenkins, which is a continuous integration tool that we use on some of our other projects. And the neat thing about it is it will automatically do a build and deploy it to your test environment or to your live environment. So in that case, we no longer need this ready for testing column because everything in under review, once the reviewer checks off on it, says it's good to go, approves the pull request, that ticket is merged into the testing branch. Jenkins will then, that will trigger Jenkins to automatically do a build from that and deploy it to testing. So you no longer have to tell people, hey, it's up on testing, because it'll automatically go up there. And so that covers the columns that I've found most helpful for communication on this project. The cool thing about JIRA is these are very customizable, so you can have fewer columns, more columns, you can name them whatever you like, and they can correspond to ticket statuses.